This episode of Super Pulp Science is brought to you by Jordan Patrick Finn. Find me on Twitter at Jordan P. Finn and DM me, and I will send you some of my books.
Attention, citizens. It's time for Super Pulp Science.
This is Super Pulp Science, where we talk about how genre gets made. I'm Gregory Kamichuk. My long-suffering co-host is away on a secret mission right now, but I have in studio with me Jordan Finn, comic book writer, sailor of the high skies, and soon-to-be collaborator. We're about to share a table of contents together. Welcome, Jordan.
Thank you. Sailor of the High Skies is a new one. I've certainly never heard that one before.
Well, you know, anyone can be a pilot, they say.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, that's not true at all. I'm being
Is that what they say?
Nobody can be. Only a small few can be a pilot. Before we jump into making comics, then let's talk about the first impossible task you undertook: to pilot machines that are heavier than air up into the sky at dangerous altitudes.
Well, the surprising part maybe for you is that there's no sails actually involved whatsoever.
Oh, see, right there, I've already learned something new.
It's alarming, I know.
So all my Studio Ghibli films have been lying to me about what really goes on in the upper atmospheres.
Well, some of them have been, some of them certainly. I think Castle in the Sky was pretty accurate.
What makes a person say, you know what, I'm going to get into that machine and I'm going to go up there all the time?
I suppose having no other designated career paths seemed viable at the time.
So just leave the earth was your goal?
Pretty much. It's just like nothing down here is working. I wonder what's up a couple thousand feet up that way.
What's up there? Maybe Laputa is cruising.
Maybe I could get a job up there.
A cousin of ours is slowly but surely getting, I don't know how the classes of pilot's license work, but you know, just like a little single engine Cessna, whatever that license is, to just take a joyride slowly.
Well, that's the one I've got. The private pilot license is the first one you get, the PPL, when it's just single engine, you know, prop aircraft.
So movies have taught me that really the only thing you can do with those are smuggle things across international borders. Is that in fact what you do with it?
That's not what I do with it. Absolutely not.
At least
but I suppose it is a thing you could do. I guess the difference would be if you owned an aircraft, it might be a little easier to do. If you're renting from a school, it's a little trickier to engage in smuggling on your downtime.
Right. But also, you like if something really bad is happening, like, you know, the world is really falling apart, you know, any fool can steal a car, but you now look out onto the airport and you're like, yeah, I'll take one of those.
Oh, I very much considered it. Anytime I'm like, if stuff really, really goes down south, I can just, you know, just take a drive up to the airport and just grab a Cessna.
You know, everyone who has ever gotten their license to drive a vehicle of any sort has felt that exhilaration of the possibility of freedom. But roads only go where roads are built. There must be something uniquely satisfying about lifting off from a runway.
Oh, and to move in all directions in 3 dimensions it's quite liberating.
I once did when I was first starting out, developing my skills as a comics storyteller, figuring out sequential language, I worked with a university professor on a comic book unit plan that was teaching kids the elements of flight. It was basically all the different elements that will go into how a flying machine works, thrust and drag and lift and all of these things. And so I spent a long time studying Bernoulli's principle. It's funny, I can even remember it now. Once you draw a thing, you have to learn it in comics. This is, you know, 15, 20 years ago, Bernoulli's principle. You really internalize it. So it's interesting to me that here I am talking now to a person who not only makes comics, but also can fly. I can only do the one of those two things.
Well, I think you'd surprise yourself if you got up there and took control of an aircraft. I think you could figure it out.
I can fly an X-Wing. It's about
Flying is not the problem. It's
Yeah,
landing.
landing.
That's the tricky bit.
I once jumped out of a perfectly good aircraft.
Did you?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm too scared for that. I'm scared of heights.
Interesting. I'm scared of landings, really. So the heights don't bother me so much. I do get that urge at the precipice to maybe lean a little too far forward once in a while.
Tell me you don't applaud when your plane lands.
No, I'm not an applauder, but I do. So I've spent a lot of time traveling the last few years to promote stuff. So I've been in hundreds of aircraft and in hundreds of flights. But I think because of that way back of studying how amazing flight is, I always pay attention to the moment of liftoff and landing with a bit of reverence. I'm not the person that has their headphones in and ignores the whole flight like it's a subway ride. I'm like, oh, here we go, and we're flying in the air. Wow. After that, I kind of get into the mundane elements, but it's never lost its magic. It's never lost.
But yeah, if you're sitting and appreciating the moment, it can have like a lot of beauty, I think.
It's incredible. And also breaking the cloud layer.
Oh yeah.
To me.
My first time doing that myself was just, incredible.
So how does that stack up to putting words on a page and then receiving the attachment or maybe even the FedEx envelope of your artist's work?
Yeah, that's another exhilarating feeling. Actually, it's a good way to branch this conversation into where it needs to be, which is making genre, right?
Because you lift up, right? You lift up. You had an idea of how it would be, but when you arrive, the clouds are always different. The sky looks different every time.
Well, no, hopefully when you're flying, things actually go, exactly the way that you have planned them.
Yeah, I guess so. If you're flying it, for me, I'm just at the mercy of the person in the cockpit.
Whereas that tends not to be the case when you're writing a comic and you get the page back from an artist. Things aren't, exactly as you envision them. They're usually much more interesting, at least for me.
If it's arriving, for the dear listener, if your comic pages are arriving exactly as you wrote them, I think you maybe failed a little bit in your creative process. I think you haven't given enough room.
Leeway.
Yeah, enough room for the artist to bring their heart to the page. And so maybe you should give them a little bit of room.
That's the most important thing in comic writing, in my opinion, is, giving your artist space to do what you're telling them to do, but better than you're telling them to do it.
Yeah.
That's what artists do. You guys are visual storytellers. I apologize for my puppy.
Oh no, we have cats, dogs, all kinds of, and I have children. We have all kinds of things.
All kinds of animals, children
around in the background here, so it's all fine.
Formaldehyde, please. Dad, you boogerhead, it's all over me. What are you kids doing down there?
When you are giving direction and you're just hoping that it comes out a little bit better. When I collaborate with Jonathan Ball on the Eye Collector, many of his script pages said, okay, do this, have this, then this, then this, and then it would have this little caveat that said, unless you can think of a cooler way to draw it. Right.
Yeah, and that's a very important caveat.
Right. It's just a freeing moment. And it's also a moment of trust. It's the high wire act of, you leap, right? And you just hope the person's there to catch you. And
yeah, hopefully you do trust your collaborator when you're getting into a project together.
Yeah.
That's a conversation I like to have up front with any artist I'm working with, is just talk about expectations of how much they want me to bring to the script, how much leeway they want to have. And every artist's different. Some want like full panel breakdown. Some like the artist I work with most is Gregory Woronchak, and he just, me and him work Marvel method, and it works beautifully for both of us. He just wants like, what is this page generally trying to do, and then he'll just panel it out the way that he wants to.
Yeah, I like working that way too, depending.
Yeah, depends on the.
And I write for artists, and I illustrate.
Some want way more, right? Some artists want you to tell them exactly what is in every panel. How many panels are there going to be? Like, it's all to taste of the artist, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, why don't you tell our dear listeners some of the projects that you've worked on and what led you to those different projects? I know you've got a few things under your belt.
Well, as of now, I only have the two graphic novels that I've done, both with Greg Woronchak. One is a black and white detective horror book called Hellcraft, which is adaptations of Lovecraft short stories. And I call it a graphic novel because that's just easier for people who don't know what this is, but it's a 4-issue collection. And then we work together on a book called Death Kanji, which is another sort of cosmic Lovecraftian sort of thing, but about a samurai and about sort of cross sections of duty and seeking truth, and what do you do with hidden, forbidden knowledge once you found it.
It's striking to me that comics in Canada, the space in comics, being only as large as it is, that you, a person that's done Lovecraft, essentially noir, and then Lovecraft samurai, and the person who did Lovecraft plus pulp era heroes, that we haven't met before and talked about.
I agree. When I first saw those eye collector pages that Jonathan Ball was showing me, I was like, how do I not know this person already? How are we not already acquainted and friends? Like, we seem to be operating on a wavelength here.
Right. Well, so why don't we then talk, for context to a listener? I mean, those of us who like and follow H.P. Lovecraft's work, we know it sort of intimately, and we'll just talk about it and throw it out as if everyone should know. But for the dear listener, how would you sum up what a Lovecraft story is?
Well, it's usually got a fish or an alien. Is the simplest way, I suppose.
And perception is broken along the way.
Yes. Well, okay. A better.
And also, we can't dance around it. And also, usually, abject and horrific racism is somewhere in one of those stories.
That's always worth adding as another important caveat, right?
And
a real answer though. Lovecraft's fiction is about, as I've mentioned with Death Kanji, is about forbidden knowledge, things that humanity maybe isn't meant to know or is unable to comprehend in any sort of way. It's about cosmic existence being much, much grander in scope than humanity or Earth or any existence that we are able to fathom.
And what I find also interesting about Lovecraft is that, nobody gives the Lovecraft story. Well, okay. Nobody that I admire gives the Lovecraft stories a pass for their racism. But because the Lovecraft stories are the first time in the mass market someone tried to proffer those ideas that we are insignificant and we don't matter, and if we ever faced it, we would just shrivel and whimper and then expire, presenting that as entertainment. That was sort of a first in literature. And so, while we don't give all of the facets of it a pass, we can take now those elements and borrow from them. And Lovecraft also had a tradition of, basically being a pen pal with other horror writers of the time and sharing different monsters and different aspects.
With so many, he wrote thousands and thousands of letters. I'm listening to another podcast called Voluminous, which is by the H.P. Lovecraft Historical Society, and they're like just reading a letter per episode and just breaking down all.
What a marvelous! Wow, I'd like to.
Oh, it's a great show, yeah, and I'm learning quite a lot. Voluminous, yeah.
All right,
but yeah, it very much just like
brought to you by Voluminous. It seems.
The H.P. Lovecraft Historical Society. Stuck in my head. But yeah, he's a pen pal of everybody at the era. He's worked with, I'm not going to gush about Lovecraft for the whole episode.
No, well, I don't think we should avoid it though. A dear friend of mine in publishing, Sylvia Monero Garcia, is one of Canada's foremost Lovecraft scholars. And I met her at the Winnipeg KeyCon the year that they basically did a Lovecraft celebration, and they brought in writers of all walks that approach the genre from different ways, but acknowledge Lovecraft's influence on their writing. And it was just a singularly marvelous experience. And so even a work as problematic as that has led me to some really great places. So I guess I'll always have him to thank for some of those friendships that I've made along the way.
Absolutely, yeah.
So let me get into craft here for a moment, and not Lovecraft, but the craft of writing itself.
The craft of loving.
Of loving, yeah, really.
Which in some ways is the craft of writing.
It's absolutely. Your page, how do you approach it? When do you approach it? And most importantly, why do you approach it?
What a difficult and deep set of questions that is.
Well, we're all alone here together, so we can get deep.
No, there's all kinds of puppies and children and critters of all sorts.
We'll ignore them. We'll ignore them.
My page. It's interesting that you would define or break it down in that way, because I don't tend to think about the page. I guess that's a very artist versus writer mentality difference, right? The artist has to think about the page. I think about the scene.
I was a writer. I started as a writer before I did any drawing that was worth anyone seeing. I always wrote. I wrote scripts, I wrote novels, I wrote short stories, and I still always thought of the unit as the page.
Really? That's probably what I should be working on. That's the last like 4 things I've written. I write at the very top of the page. I'm like, think about page transitions, how to flip, how to make your reader flip that page.
Well, it's important. The page itself as a unit, even in prose, when you turn that page, you make the reader complicit in the action of storytelling.
Yes.
And so if you can ever negotiate, even in prose, a moment when the worst thing happens because the reader turned the page, that is the sweetest thing for me.
Yeah, you put it on the reader's hands.
Yeah.
This is your fault.
Yeah.
You turned that page.
Yeah,
you did this.
I didn't make you do that. That's you. You wanted to turn the page.
Certainly for Death Kanji, I thought about a lot, not the single page, but the spread, the 2-page spread, and how to maneuver. And I finessed the script for weeks trying to make scenes work in sets of 2 pages, so that when you hold the book open, you see one scene in front of you. When you flip the page, it's a different scene, or it continues, but there's not one that's broken in half. I think maybe 1 or 2 pages, and it's stark when you flip through the pages of the book. You can see clearly, based on AHG's coloring, he was the colorist on that book, and he did an amazing job. You can see like the scenes as the page, like the spread that you're looking at is a cohesive unit. Where you talk about page as a unit, I'm thinking about spread. 2 pages as a unit.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. And like I was saying, there's 1 or 2 instances in there where you can see, the page on the left is a different color than the page on the right. And that's like very rare in that book. That's something I worked really hard about, trying to put a lot of thought into.
Well, color and mood, that's basically connected as a unit. And so, yeah, it's an important thing to think about in the page turn. I've found the navigation into digital comics lately to be problematic in that sense, like books on comicsology or a guided view kind of feeling.
I don't even consider that at all. I'm not on comicsology. I haven't put any of my work on there. I don't want to consider that stuff. That's not what I'm writing for.
Yeah, I don't write for it that way, and I don't consider it because to me, I love the physical object. But then I'm confronted with the cold reality of then seeing the book portrayed in a guided view. If I've created an abstract page where the page
guided view doesn't work,
is a concept and not a panel 1, panel 2, panel 3, but say some images laced around a central image that your eye then will trace because of the color or the blur that I've put in, or whatever.
Well, that's why my books are not on there. I'm not putting that, but I don't have publishers to deal with. Like, my work is only self-published.
Don't say only. I think it's more like,
I guess, sure.
Right. There's more to do for you.
Sure. My work is self-published instead of being through a publisher. So I don't have someone telling me my work has to be on Comixology, or that I have to have a guided view or anything like that. I don't have to even consider those stipulations. I just consider how I want the book to be read.
For Christ's sake, Alice, quit yakking at the stiffs. It's nuts.
So why comics?
I think because I'm not a good enough writer for prose. I get to stand on the shoulders of all the artists that I work with, and let them do the heavy lifting.
It's funny, right? But I think, again, you do yourself a disservice to suggest that the script is not integral.
Oh, I do myself disservices all the time. Don't worry about that.
Have you tried prose? Have you tried short stories? Have you tried novels? Have you tried?
Briefly, very, very, very briefly. I wrote the prologue of a novel and then deleted it a week later.
Well, prologues,
that's
as
about
they
it.
say, are what you're supposed to delete. We've had a
It
couple
was
of
deleted, so
conversations.
I guess I did that right.
Yeah, you did that part right. The prologue is the preamble that you're not skillful enough often to include in the main text. And so
Yep.
you should probably just skip it or figure out a way to make it germane to the text you're writing. Something that always hurt me, because many stories I grew up with had prologues, and I like it. But in modern publishing landscape, the prologue is sort of, they tip their glasses down and look all the way down their nose at the prologue.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I promise, if I do ever get around to finishing a novel, which I mean isn't going to happen, but if it did,
why wouldn't it?
I would also
Don't wait.
self-publish that.
Don't jump away. You can fly planes in the sky. A novel is not harder than learning to fly.
I don't have the time anymore.
Time. Okay, so what's eating up your time? What takes away your time?
Well, the puppy. Last year I got married. This year I bought a house.
Oh wow, you don't have any time. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Hopefully next year I have a child, a human child, instead of a dog one.
Less time now. Less
So
time.
I don't think time exists for me anymore.
But if I look, if I may say, I know this is a audio medium, I can see into your studio space, and I see a whole lot of minis,
Yes.
role-playing D&D minis, which means you understand that if you can design a role-playing game or run, you're the dungeon master in your group?
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes, then you don't plan the whole thing all at once. You
Oh,
do it a
no,
little
not
at
at
a
all.
time, and you respond to the players. Writing a novel is not different than that.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. And I mean, I could give it a shot, but the ideas that I have had for prose, like I've outlined and I've structured a lot of stuff in the past, and never sat down and really did the work of writing. All those are dead to me at this point, I think. I don't have, I think, something worthwhile to say in prose.
Oh my
or
gosh!
in a
If
novel.
I don't know if I've yet said anything worthwhile, and I have a whole career in writing. So you just do your best. I am a bit of a writing lifestyle pusher. Like some people will whisper from a shadowy corner here downtown, like, do you want to buy a? I'm more of a, you should probably write a manuscript. Right. So don't just take it with a grain of salt. I push everybody towards writing because I think it's a self-archaeology that you learn a lot about yourself, even if the work is only for you. And that, publishing being the byproduct of writing and not its point, it's a whole other thing. So comics then, in your own words, because you don't think you could do prose. I challenge that, but I'll let it slide this one time.
Yeah, we'll leave that where it is.
Yeah, because neither of us have brought our legal counsel today. We'll let that one slide in the deposition. How do you find that other important tool that you need, which is the relationship with an artist?
How do I find
it?
In which way? How do I find an artist, or how do I?
Both.
Okay.
I realized I was unclear, but I was unclear in a way that made two possible answers, and now I want them both.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, my first and predominant collaborator, Greg Woronchak, I just found online on a forum. And we just worked together once on a short 10-page thing. And then I was like, this worked. We worked well together. Let's do 20 pages.
Does
20
that forum
more,
still
20
exist?
more.
Is that still a place that the dear listener could look to find an artist of their own?
I think it was zwol, zwol.org. I think it was zwol.org / forum or something like that.
Right.
And I was just
Digital webbing
Googling.
is one I'd used many times in the past, the digital webbing forums, which are still active. I know.
I've heard there's way more active Facebook and subreddits now at this point, but this was almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I just Googled and that was on the first page, and that's what it came up with. Other collaborators, I found a few from our mutual friend Lyndon Radchenka, who lettered Death Kanji. I don't even know where I found Lyndon, how I ran into him. We were just following each other on Twitter one day, and I needed a letterer, and it worked out that way. And then he introduced me to
Like,
Chris
had you
Smith
tweeted
and to
or
you and to
said
Stephen
something?
Call.
Had you tweeted or said like, "Oh, I'm looking for a letterer," and he responded? Do you think, or
I think I had just seen him posting like, "Oh, I'm a letterer," and then when it came time to have a project that I needed one, I remembered, oh, that guy. I'll hit him up, and it has turned into a fruitful friendship where I have met all sorts of new and interesting people from your Winnipeg community, especially.
yeah, we just keep gathering folks, right? Just like pulling us in like a Lovecraft tentacle beast. We just pull you
Like the way I've heard some of your Winnipeg people refer to my geographical location, the GTA, which is another Lovecraftian beast of ever expanding, grasping.
What else are you aiming for in comics? So we have the aforementioned, or maybe we haven't mentioned it, Dead Work Collective project, which is technically not, we haven't done too much story breaking, or like this, you've heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen, perhaps, but putting
Possibly,
an anthology of work together. What else do you have on the docket?
Other than Dead Work?
Yeah. Which is supposed to be all finished now, so you can't hide behind it as like, well, I gotta get this done because I know where those deadlines are. I got those same emails, so you're supposed to be finished.
Yes, I am. I'm done. I'm done. It's all in there. But other than that, I don't have anything solid, anything tangible. I'm working on a bunch of shorts with a bunch of different people. I'm working on submitting for anthologies and stuff, but I don't have my next big real book planned. Me and Chris Smith have a short that we work together in Dead Work, and that was sort of testing our working relationship, because we've been friends since Lyndon introduced us. We talk like almost every day because he's as big a D&D nerd as I am.
Right. Yeah.
And we just constantly talk about, oh, what are these rules mean? What is this? Like blah blah blah. And so we tested, can we work together without butting heads or having our friendship like not work out or whatever? Can we do a short comic? And we did that. So then we both decided, hey, let's do something longer form. And the short was sort of Chris's pitch to me to write. He like had a world and sort of designs that he wanted me to flesh out and do a story for.
Play with these toys.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Play with these mood boards is what it really was.
Can I point out that I believe that was in violation of the Dead Work Charter?
It was. It absolutely was.
Flagrant violation. But because you were making comics, I think we just have to let it pass, right?
I mean, Chris called for it. Honestly, when we were doing it, I was like, oh, I mean, it's not Dead Work. Like, we can't put it in this. And he was like, no, we'll put it in this anyway. And I was like, all right, okay, whatever you say. But since then, he's now turned to me and been like, all right, so let's do something longer. Let's do a meatier project together. And now it's up to me to pitch.
I can take you as far as the cliffs in my boat. It's about half a mile from there. Thanks. $25. Take it or leave it.
$25.
We'll take it.
I found at that pitching stage, this is unsolicited advice now, but I found that still keeping to the 22-page unit of
absolutely. Yeah, I told him just a single issue. He doesn't want to do a like graphic novel or anything of that length right now.
Right.
So I told him we could do a 20, 22, 24, something, a one shot. We could do a one shot together and it would work out fine.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing how that would shape up.
I did pitch him something a few weeks ago, and just yesterday I decided to throw it all out. Like I was talking about with not having a novel, I was like, it's not something real. I had nothing to say with that one shot that I pitched him.
Sure.
So I was like, you remember that thing that I told you about that you got excited about? Let's delete
We're
that.
not doing that.
That doesn't exist anymore. Let me think about something else.
So I do a story break thing when I do seminars or workshops or whatever, where, you know, the premise is, of course, that ideas are worthless and easy to come by. And so I have a structure whereby in about 10 minutes, we can generate, using a little bit of some organization, you can generate 100 ideas, 100 slug lines for 100 complete projects, beginning, middle, and end, just in a couple of minutes, basically. And just prove to people, like, the idea part, that's not the hard part. And then we get them to select one that might be of interest. And so they write that down. But then I often have the whole group, and because it's a personal thing I'm asking them to do, I get them to take the page and fold it over in a way that there's a flap at the bottom where they can hide something from the people around them. And I'll always say, now what I want you to do is write something about yourself you wouldn't want anyone else to know. And
Which
once
is
they
disjointed from the original idea, just something totally
just non sequitur. Now I want you to, and you will see people's body language change. You will see their approach to this task. You know, they're ready to write and make up stuff, but now telling the truth is what I'm asking them to do.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. And so they then will write this and hide it, and many of them will code it. And I make a solemn vow that no one will be asked to share. And if you want to destroy the page right after, that's up to you, but just please make the effort. Now look at the idea you chose from your list of 100 and express that idea, but inside of it, hide this truth. What would that story look like?
I think that's wonderful advice. I think that's what I'm trying to do and just not there yet. I don't know the truth that I want to say with my project with Chris. That's my problem. That's where I'm at currently.
Yeah, I tend
Which hopefully I crack in a couple of weeks. But
yeah,
we'll see.
I'm sure you will. And I can say with all honesty, what I tend to do myself, every project that I have done in the last 10 years contains in its kernel, somewhere folded in, a secret shame of mine that I've worked on and used the time working on the writing as a meditative process, whereby, okay, we're going on an adventure as killer robots, whatever. But every day when I look at that truth that I'm supposed to be facing and address it, it makes that writing time, for me anyway, worthwhile, even if the project is a financial failure, even if it's a critical failure, even if it's a...
does that make your projects age more to you when you look back at them? Yeah. Or does it keep them more fresh?
Well, I'll say this. I know by the time the project is finished that I'm done with that thing. And I can usually talk very openly. And, you know, all the books that I've done when I'm on speaking tours or, you know, asked to speak about them, I'll share that thing to those audiences. Like, here's what I was facing. Here's a secret. Here's a thing that now that I've finished this book, which isn't about that thing, but I thought about it every day I worked on it, it holds no fear for me now. It holds no shame. I can share that with you now.
Well, can you really say that book isn't about that thing?
No, you can't. But that's not why people show up. They don't show up to like the shame show. I mean, maybe they would. That's a good thing. We should pitch the shame show to some network. But I won't show up if there isn't a part of me that's going to get better doing the work.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not going to show up. And
but that makes the work about that thing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because you just inferred the opposite. You just said like, oh, even though the work isn't about this thing.
Right. So I'll give you an example.
Isn't it then?
Well, if you, I mean, let's do it right now. Somebody somewhere wants something. Let's just make up something. I'm looking in the back of there's like a giant. I can see a few giants.
There's some giants eating some pumpkins. How about a giant wants a pumpkin?
A giant.
Or is that too tangible?
That's good. A giant wants a pumpkin. You're going to tell me what complication ensues. What is preventing that giant from getting the pumpkin?
He's got chains on his hands. He's tied up.
Okay, so we have a chain giant, a hungry chain giant. Our story. What is the age group that we should aim for right now before we conceptualize this?
Sounds pretty goofy. Let's go with 10 to 12.
10 to 12. So it's an illustrated story for kids 10 to 12. It's going to go into that mass market space a little bit. It's about a giant, he's chained up, he's trapped. Now tell me something. No, we're recording this. Think about something that you wouldn't want to share about yourself with anyone, but it is true. Something you know is hard to face, something that you don't tell people, but you know it's real. Now you'd hold on to that thought every day and you'd say to yourself, okay, I'm going to work on this giant escaping his chains to get to the pumpkin every day. And sometimes it means you have to put that thought, that private thought aside in order to work. But every day that you show up to work on it, you're bringing that thing forward and you're making a mental effort to say, okay, this exists. This is real for me. And you evaluate it each time. And so then the creative process is now brought right to the human element. You are raw. And in that rawness, I find real writing begins to take real shape. It's not a process that everyone likes or everyone will use all the time.
So you're one of the writing coaches that preaches you have to be miserable to make good art.
No, I'm a super freaking happy dude. I'm a super freaking
Well, yeah, once the work is done, once you put that project away, now it's cathartic. Now that's over. Now you can be happy.
You know, let's I will share a truth with you right now. One of my fears that I'm facing up to is a real fear that all of us have to face, which is my father is 82 years old.
Yes.
Right. I have a great relationship with my dad. It has not always been a great relationship, but
yeah, I heard you mentioning that on a previous episode I was listening to, and it struck a chord for me.
Right.
We can get into that in a second too.
We could. And one day that relationship will be gone. And while I don't like thinking about it, it's real, it's true. And it is present in my new draft of The Backbone of Night. It is underneath the story I'm writing, which is like a father and son, you know, escaping an automated apocalypse, and they're finding a space elevator and they're going to escape the Earth. I knew right from the get-go, and this is a spoiler alert, that they won't make it out together. They can't. Yeah. Right?
No, they can't, right? For the story to work.
Right? For the story to work, they can't make it out together. And which one of them isn't going to make it? It was hard for me to decide. And so I said to myself, this is the part of the story that's missing. And I started thinking, what's something real in my life that I don't want to face? And it immediately came to me because of the context of the story. Like, I don't want to face the idea that, you know, pretty soon I'm going to be without a dad, whether I like it or not. Right? The indelible march of time.
So again, as you said that idea is underneath the story, but it doesn't sound to me like it's underneath the story at all. It sounds to me like it is the core and the heart of that story.
It's the power of it. It's sort of like, I'm a big Star Trek nerd. It's the dilithium crystal.
See, I don't know anything about Star Trek.
It's the dilithium crystal. Star Trek nerds out there, you know what I mean. It's the dilithium crystal that powers the ship, right? Janeway never looks at the crystal. They never show you the crystal. They never take it out and say, ooh, the crystal. I mean, some episodes they do. Okay, I know, nerds. I'm right there with you. But for the most part, it's just the power that gets them from place to place. And I find that raw, unbridled power is a good place for me to start. Once I get rolling, once the words are flowing, I don't honestly think about it. I'm so engaged in the if this, then that of the plot elements and the stuff I've written before and the cadence of the story. And, you know, does this make sense? And, oh man, the deep existential part of writing is hard hits me pretty fast once I start going. But at least at the end of the day, even if I wrote, and again, we're back to the unit of the page. If the page is bad, I've at least worked on something of value, which is facing something true.
Yeah. Which is of value to you, whether it turns into a published anything,
right,
or self-published anything, right?
Yeah, or doesn't turn into anything at all, because at any moment we could all be evaporated by an alien ray. And so I want to be working on those parts of me that are here now.
Yep. So that makes a lot of sense. And
when the ray comes and the dust of me scatters across then
or whatever cosmic Lovecraftian entity, to bring it back to that.
That's right. When the gibbering mouther slithers from the cave wall on top of me. Just bring it back to D&D also.
Hey, did you hear about the coffins? Somebody's been breaking into them.
What you're talking about is super, like, hyper relevant to me, because I have been trying to work on my next long form comic for over a year, like 14, 15 months now, which I know the truth of, right? Where you're talking about the ideas and then the hidden truth. And mine is, I want to do something about my relationship with my father, because it is terrible and it's something I need to deal with, and it's something that I have something to say about. Like that's something worthwhile to me. But I've been stuck staring at an empty page for over a year, unable to make that story happen. I know so much about it. I know the heart of it. I know the non-material writing stuff, like how I want the book to the cover. I want how I'm going to publish it, the money that I need to get, the team that I'm going to have involved in it. I know all the non-important shit, but I can't crack. Am I allowed to say shit?
You can
On your
swear.
show.
If you swear an awful lot, we'll beep a little of it.
I'll just leave it at 2 for now. For now, no promises. But I don't know how to tell that story. So what do I do then?
Well, then I rely on the tried and true method of plot.
Yeah, I don't have a plot. That's the issue.
Then I relied on the tried and true method of pantsing, which is pick a character and give them a problem.
Okay. And that will generate the plot for you?
It does for me often. So
Yeah.
I really like pantsing when I'm writing prose, up to a point where I've written characters into writing automatic age, I would often have to stop the day's writing when the only thing I could write next is everyone dies. Right? I've created a situation where the only thing that could possibly happen next that my imagination can stretch to plausibly, not realistically, but plausibly given the context of the story is, well, they're not going to make it. So I guess this is the end. So I'd walk away and I'd have to spend a whole day or night thinking about how the hell are they going to get out of this one? And then a moment would strike me. But when I would hit I don't know how to get out of this one, then I would come back to, if the character is facing this truth, this secret that I've put into it, how are they going to feel that it's unresolved?
What do you mean?
Well, so then I get meta with it. I say, okay, if I powered it with this dilithium crystal of this personal truth,
yeah,
at the moment when the character can no longer get out of the problem I've given them, I force that character, because I am a god to them. I force that character to look at that truth and make that their problem, even though it's a meta moment. I'm inserting my real life problem to them and say, well, I guess you're going out and you've never resolved this. How do you feel about that?
How do I feel about that?
Well, I ask the character in my own self, how do you feel about that? And usually
what's the answer that
they're
you get?
usually not pretty happy. That whatever answer comes back, and I mean, it's a mental game, right? But whatever answer comes back jars me often into thinking about the story itself, which is pure invention.
Yeah.
In a way that touches again back to reality. And then it sometimes jars something loose, at least so far, has jarred them into a new plan to save themselves. Because they too don't want to leave that unresolved.
Well, which character would?
Right. So I
need to pants my characters. Is what you're
pants them a little bit. Pants them. Put them in some problems. Like, think of it like a D&D game. Right now, I've been part of a regular role-playing game session since grade 7.
Continuing to this day.
Weekly to this day, basically.
And you're like a super old guy too.
I'm ancient. Right? I'm an ancient.
I'm messing with you.
I'm antique. My son yells from this corner of the room. He's an antique. Right. So the ancient.
That's admirable. That's something that's really interesting.
To me, it's like two parts creative, and I honestly 1 part therapy, because it's just like a part of your life you can completely control. and the stakes can be cosmic or street level.
Yep.
And your friends are the ones that are going to help you get through it.
Yeah.
Or you're playing with them and they've made up some crazy madness. I've been playing in a regular adaptation of we're using the recon rules. My buddy Andy Babosky runs a session for us right now, which is basically like Full Metal Jacket plus Platoon times the X-Files.
Okay.
Right. And so I never know what the hell is going to happen when I tune in to play that game. And I'm on my, I want to say my 4th character. And we just try to die as spectacularly as possible, because the context of the game is that there is a high body count.
Yeah.
And so it's really about trying to transfer the important knowledge of the story to the next character, like to the group, before
Yep.
something bad happens.
Do you have some in for your character? Do you all work for an agency or something that just
We're all part of
recycles
the
new
same
agents?
unit. That's right. We're all part of the
Yeah.
same unit that investigates this stuff. It's during the Vietnam War, and it is it's been a blast. Yeah.
That's neat. I haven't heard of Recon before.
It's
I mean,
an
I'm
old-
not super into the tabletop scene, but I
Yeah,
do know,
it's a
like, I do know a
really
bit.
it's an old, like, early 90s. I want to say late 80s, early 90s tabletop Vietnam game,
Yeah.
which we became very uncomfortable with the context of how Americans view Vietnam
Oh,
and
no kidding.
Viet Cong. So we dumped all that out and put in the supernatural instead, because the system, the core system itself, is really quick and fun and dirty, and it's quick to make new characters, and it's fun to be brave. And when it fails, you fail spectacularly. But when you succeed, you can succeed spectacularly. And so we've just had fun with the system. We played it for years. I think we're all using our old, like, 1989 copies of Recon, adjusted with notes and stuff. So, you're just making up stuff as you go along.
What is the core of that system? A D20 as it is in D&D, or percentile?
It's 3 core percentile stats. Strength, dexterity, and perception.
Mhm.
And you roll them for basically anything, because the entire game is, it's always life or death. And so those are the only 3 stats that really matter. And then you have some skill sets that you can rely on when it's not life or death. When you're planning ahead, you can get some advantages with the skill tree. And then you use your quote unquote experience points to just buy the barest incremental improvements in those stats, because you're probably not going to make it. Go without me. Right? It's a game of a lot of just go, I'll hold them back.
In every session,
Yeah, every session.
three players saying,
That's
"Oh,
right,
go
yeah.
on without me."
Yeah. So our Andy has been very kind to let many of us. He's using this. You'll appreciate, as a regular player, you'll appreciate this. He uses this MacGuffin where he'll let us know. He'll say, today you're playing a flashback. This took place before the event. So we'll be playing some really high stake event leading up to some horrible cataclysm, and then he'll jump to a flashback. And so he said, you survived.
Mhm.
So no matter what happens, no matter how badly injured you get, because it's a flashback, you'll live. So we get these reprieves of, like, well, no matter what I do, no matter how badly it goes.
A session of safety after 4 sessions in a row of losing your character.
That's right. A minor session of confidence.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, as you mentioned earlier at the start of this, was that control of one aspect of your life, right? When you play a game like this,
A little bit of confidence.
I am safe. I am confident in this session for the next 4 hours. I know I am okay.
Yeah, this game is very different from, say, like D&D, where you pour like so much more into the creation of each element of the character, and you build a lot of stats and you min-max everything. So you spend a lot more time sculpting in D&D, and so you're a lot more angry if your character gets killed.
Well, you can.
Yeah. Where we're just sort of,
or you can just randomly roll up everything.
Yeah. We throw together, the joke I make in my notes to remind myself is I need 3 stats and a cliche, and I can play any of these characters. Right. And then if they live longer than 2 sections, we build them out a little bit.
Have you heard of, I don't know what the name of the system is. I think it's like dwarves or something. but it's like axe and not axe are your two stats.
I love it. Well,
You're not familiar with it? You basically you pick a number between 2 to 5, and if you roll below your number, you have to roll below your number on a d6 for if you roll an axe, or above if you're rolling not axe. So anything you try to do, the DM just tells you, okay, that's not axe. So you have to roll above your number. That's it. You pick one stat between 2 to 5.
I love this. I love this because then it brings storytelling to the core of what's happening at the table and story breaking and again, if this, then that scenarios. The Danger in the Details game that I am, a hair's breadth away from releasing into the wild is very much built around this idea that there are strategy elements to role-playing games. And if you like chess, there are lots of chess adjacent role-playing games you can play. I like chess, but I play chess to play chess, and I play role-playing games to tell stories. And so we've built something that's
absolutely agree. Yeah. You need a storytelling game, not a tactical. Like that's not at all why I play D&D or whatever. And some of the people that I play with sometimes will be, more engaged in tactical stuff or min-maxing, as you mentioned, or all kinds of these war game aspects. And I'm like, why are you playing D&D? Like go play Risk or chess or Stratego or
each to their own.
Warhammer or whatever.
D&D, for all it's having its renaissance right now, and I think that really is because so much of our lives are out of our control right now with, as we call it on the podcast, the event that is occurring.
Yes, I've been listening. I've heard.
We've had more and more desire to, even remotely through Zoom or whatever,
to control something,
control anything, right? And so when you tell a person like, hey, come and be a hero in this fantasy land that we all make up for an hour, a couple hours a week, someone, even if they're reluctant, they're maybe like, well, I miss everyone, so sure, I'll try it. And then they're like, oh wow, an aspect of my life I can completely craft to my own wishes.
Oh, you're beautiful. Of course, I knew you would be a beautiful boy.
And it gives you a reason to socialize in these, in these event times where everyone, I guess less so now, but previously, at least for a year, everyone was isolated, separated, stuck at home, couldn't see people. At least that's an excuse to get together on a schedule with people that and like, hopefully.
We may yet spend some time, you and I, getting together to just play a game so we can control some aspect of this world.
We'll play some axe and not axe.
But hey, I'm in for axe and not axe.
We'll adapt it for a Lovecraftian setting. It'll be like, I don't know what the two words would be, mundane or occult.
Right. But what is
how occult is your character, basically, is your one stat?
Yeah. Well, I made a game that was like that. Essentially, it had two stats. It was fight and crime and battle the strange. You only had two stats for a game.
There you go.
Right?
Yeah. But you make them on a sliding scale, so it's one stat.
I like that. That's way smarter than I've ever been. But what is role playing? People are, when they're getting it, except for just the oral tradition of storytelling around a campfire, codified in a way that has no campfire.
Yes.
We have dice.
It is. That's why I love it. It's being creative. It's telling a story. It's some outlet for my creativity when I can't afford an artist at the moment. I can just DM a campaign instead.
At a few very special times in my life, I had the presence of being with some Indigenous elders in a story circle where they're sharing stories and asking people to contribute elements to the story, and not to take anything away from the gravitas of that experience, but the part of me was like, oh,
this.
I do this all the time.
I do collaborative storytelling, not at the same level exactly, but
the difference is your stories are a history that you must preserve, and mine are ones that I'm just making up, right? Like we're just making it up, and so there's nothing at stake if someone forgets their character sheet, and so I don't need a story keeper, right? But there's a more at stake. So I don't want to lessen or I guess
of course,
as if they're on equal grounds, but
there's similarity to it. I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Anytime a group of people gets together and shares a story, and the juxtaposed power
Well, that is also what I love about comic writing.
That's what I was
We
going to
talked
say.
about the start, which is like the writer passing off the script, and then a artist totally changes, or I mean, not totally changes, I would hope, but at least adds to and collaborates and expands and changes. Yeah.
And then the artist, in a way, becomes, if we really want to loop it back, the pilot, lifting the machine of that script off the ground.
We're in too many levels of metaphor at this point.
Right.
We're too deep.
Too many?
This is like a Chris Nolan kind
I
of
was just going to say, at any moment, Chris Nolan will interrupt and say, never too deep.
Cut.
Yeah. I heard his new movie is going to have an actual nuclear test in it, an atomic bomb in it.
He's already working on a new one?
Yeah, there's a new, I don't know, this scuttlebutt, it might just be jokes on the internet, but it's about the development of the atomic bomb, and apocryphally.
Oh, I did hear that, right?
They're going to go to an actual atomic bomb detonation and film part of it for the film.
Okay, I guess he really wants to beat out Sam Mendes's biggest explosion on screen or whatever from Spectre.
All right. I've been following his work since Following, so I'm excited to see if he can go from a little independent film to detonating an atomic device for art's sake. That'll be interesting. Jordan, thank you so much for sharing your process with us. Thank you for being willing to listen to me ramble about all the ways in which I make stuff in context to how you make stuff.
Oh no, it was illuminating. It was excellent to listen to. I hope I do it again sometime.
I would love to have you come back on the show the moment you crack your new script.
The moment, instead of writing it, as
So
soon as I get 3 words in, I'll turn it off.
Yeah.
I'll say, I'm writing words now. I have to stop. I have to call Greg.
And call us back, and let's talk about where you found the way in, right?
I will work on that.
Yeah, because as
soon as I get time away from, the house and the wife and the puppy, I will try to consistently chug away at that.
I believe in you.
Thank you.
This has been Super Pulp Science, where we talk about how genre gets made. I'm Gregory Kmichek, encouraging you to do as Jordan does and make comics.